All right. So yeah, here we go. In the Heights. It's first of all, I'm just overwhelmed by how many of you responded to this. I wish we could be in the theater, but we thought it'd be safer for a couple of reasons to be online today. And I think that you'll still learn. I think the things you want to know that um, we are definitely going to uh, uh, see. I already lost my train of thought. What was I saying, Michael? What was I saying?
I don't know.
Oh, we're gonna do Q&A. That's what I was
There you
gonna say.
go. That's it.
There's there's going to be plenty of time for Q&A after. So um, know that that's coming. I'm gonna share the slideshow with you all. And just let me know that you can see it because I'm gonna disappear. All right, everybody can see that? People, thumbs up. We're good. Awesome. So here we go. It's the In the Heights audition workshop. I wanted to tell you all, for those of you who don't know, just a little bit about Raleigh Little Theater. If this is your first time, there's some stuff that's I think important to know. Uh, Raleigh Little Theater is based in Raleigh, North Carolina. We are a community theater. We are not a professional theater, so we do rely on volunteers, and I just want to make that super clear from the beginning. And that also means if you don't have a way to stay locally, we don't have housing that's available. So it is a community theater. Raleigh Little Theater was founded in 1936. So we are approaching our 86th year of producing theater. It was founded as part of the Federal Theater Project. And so we're really excited about that history, that it was built for people who have a desire to live a creative life in the theater, to have that opportunity at RLT to support their other outside professional life. They also have this opportunity to be a part of this community. So we've been operating for a long time. Here's the thing, and this is something that means a lot to me. I'm the first artistic leader of color in the history of the company, and there's never been a play in the 86-year history of the company written by Latinx artists. So this is the first time. This is a historical moment as we step into In the Heights, and we're going to do our best to live into that history and to make RLT even a better place than it is. If you haven't been to the campus, we have 3 theaters on site. We have a 2,000 seat outdoor amphitheater. We have 150 seat black box theater, and we have a 300 seat proscenium theater. The plan at the moment is for this show to be in the proscenium theater, which is the oldest theater on campus, and it's the 300 seat theater I was talking about. It's a beautiful theater. There's so much history in there. You can feel it when you walk in. I really love it. And I think I couldn't be more excited to have this show in that space, being the first time that we're going to present a play by Latinx artists. So thank you for even showing the interest that you've shown. Really excited about that. Okay, here we go. Next slide. All right, so there's a couple things that I really want to point out to you. That when you come to the audition, we're going to get the kind of boring stuff out of the way first, and then we'll get to the exciting stuff. Come to the audition, you're going to need to fill out beforehand 2 forms. So the first one is the audition form. I'm not sure if I click this, do you all still see it? Is it transferring to it? Perfect. I'm doing okay so far. So I just wanted to walk you through this form so you understand a little bit about what we're looking for on the form, and just some things that are helpful for us as we go through. So the production, of course, will be In the Heights. It's the only production auditioning on the audition dates. The audition date is which of those first 2 nights you're coming that you've signed up for via Sign Up Genius. That helps because sometimes, like, we see a lot of folks, and so knowing which night you came can help us locate, oh, that's this person that we're taking a look at. Role preferences, this is a big one. All right, so role preferences, I know actors struggle a little bit with, like, I don't want to seem like a jerk if I don't want to do this role. So I'm just going to put anything and everything. And we are asking you not to do that. Please only put the roles that you are interested in playing. If you don't want to be in the ensemble, although the ensemble in this show is where the fun is. But if you don't want to be in the ensemble, don't put that down. Okay. So just put the roles you're interested in playing. We've gotten into situations where people put that they would play X number of roles, and we offered them those roles, and then they said they didn't want to play those roles. And so that just takes a lot of time, to be honest, to go back in and recast it, and then a lot of times that means we have to shuffle everything. So really, sincerely, we absolutely appreciate people being honest, and would rather you not do something you don't want to do. So put down the roles that you really would play if they were offered to you. And if that truly is any, that's great. That's a perfectly fine answer. I'm not telling you not to put that. I just want to be clear that honesty here is great. And we're never going to think, oh, this person's not a team player, or this is a bad person because they don't want to do anything. No, I mean, life's too short, right? Play the roles you want to play, like go up for those. So I hope that makes some sense. The other thing that's important here, and I think, one of the reasons I wanted to mention this kind of historical moment for RLT, as a Latinx artist and a person in the global majority, I think we're realizing over the last couple of years just how underrepresented BIPOC folks, LGBTQIA folks, transgender folks have been in the theater. And I think when we have opportunities to perform plays that feature actors in the global majority, we do honor that. Okay, so on the Audition site, on the website, on the Audition page, you'll see that we've broken down the ethnic background and the gender presentations of the characters. We will probably not sway too far out of that. So if you don't identify as a Latinx artist, a Black artist, or a BIPOC artist, those primary roles you're probably not going to get, right? We don't, at RLT anyway, we are very color conscious when we cast. We believe that your color is a part of who you are and it's important. And so, sometimes we will manipulate that in other shows like Shakespeare and stuff like that. Here, we are intentionally trying to diversify this cast in the way that it's written. Also, the licensing agency for this particular show, if it's not like in high school or like in an educational setting, they do require that you're following the suggested ethnicity and gender representation. Now, some of that can change. I'm not saying that is completely and totally strict. It'll be case by case, but we are not going to do something that, as a person of color, I would find offensive if I went to a show. I hope that makes sense. If you have questions about it, you can ask me anything. So when we get to the Q&A, ask about that. I think the one primary place that we may really play around with what is written is the Piragua guy, because that could be played by a woman if needed. So that's just something that we can really talk about and think about. So make sure you're thinking about that too when you put these role preferences down. At some point, I'm sure approaching callbacks, we may ask you, if you're willing to let us know what your background is. Now, that does not mean that you'll look through that list and you'll see that Caucasian folks are not listed in those kind of primary characters. Does not mean you're not in the show. I am a director who believes that ensemble deserve way more credit than they get. And that's where the fun is. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done as the ensemble. We do want this to look like the Washington Heights neighborhood, which includes everybody. So everybody is absolutely welcome to come out and be in this show. I just want to make sure on this role preferences section that we're being honest about what our intentions are. So I hope that you respect that, and that's kind of an RLT policy. Are you willing to accept any role? So this means if there's a role offered to you that you didn't list as your preference, will you accept it? Again, say no if that's the truth. I promise you, none of us look at that no and go, this person's not a great person. We don't do that. So please say no if you mean no. Name as you want it billed if cast. This is important because in the past, people would put just their nickname or whatever, and then we would publish it on the website, and then they'd be like, oh no, wait, that's not the way I want it to be publicly. So put it as you want it to be in the public world, right? In the program and on the website and all that, your name exactly as you want it billed. Your pronouns, so that's your pronouns. We just want you to put those there so we know. Age range, circle one. This we don't use this like this specifically to cast. We want what I should say it this way. We want you to put your actual age range on here, not what you think you can play or not play. That just helps us, because another thing that's important to us is that we're diversifying even internally in the cast. So do we have younger folks working with some older folks and things like that? Like that's important for a community theater. So make sure you circle that. Of course, your address, phone number, email address. Would you like to be added to the email list for audition notices? You can put that here. If you've already signed up, it is okay to put no, already signed up or whatever, that's fine. You don't have to, again, this is not, we don't look at that when we're making casting choices to go, they don't even want to be on the email list. Never that would happen. So just, it's your preference. At the end of this meeting too, you'll have an opportunity to sign up for that if you'd like to. Reliable transportation. This does not mean you have to have a car. This just means that you have a way to get to the theater. Because if you don't, we may just come to you and say, how can we help? Let us know, because it will require in-person time together. Some roles may dictate that a performer change their appearance. If this role requires, would you cut, grow hair, dye hair, all that stuff. This show, probably what we want is you to be you. But I never say never. So that's just like, be honest there as well. If you don't want to cut or dye your hair, say that. I don't, in my meetings with the costume designer so far, we haven't really talked about anybody needing to do that. If your hair is dyed a fun color, we may love that. So I don't think you need to worry about that too much, but please do say what you are and are not willing to do. And then initial here to indicate you're aware that RLT actors are volunteers. And then any training you've received, you can just write it into this little box, or you can attach a headshot resume if you have those to the back. I want to be very clear that that is not a requirement at RLT. We often put people on stage with zero experience. We often put people on stage with a ton of experience. It's like, whoever you are, what you bring into the room is what we're looking at RLT, because we're not going out and recruiting. That's the other thing that is important for you to know. Every time at every audition at RLT, every role is open to anybody, of course, like matching that criteria that we talked about, but it's open. Like there's no pre-casting that has happened. If we were to pre-cast something like Usnabe, for example, we would tell you that. That would be front and center and clear in all communication. So every role is open, nothing has been pre-cast. All right, so I just wanted you to see that. Next, the other important document to fill out is the conflict calendar. In fact, this is probably the most critical document that you're going to fill out. This is the calendar of all possible rehearsals. So I want to make sure that that's clear. It does not mean we will rehearse every single time that this document says on here. This is all possible rehearsals. Now, this is going to be a pretty involved process. Like there's a lot of dance, there's a lot of singing, there's a lot of stuff going on. So what you're to do is mark an X on any date that you know that you cannot be in rehearsal. You can also like put, I will arrive late by 8:30 p.m. on any date, that you know all that stuff. So this is kind of the way that the rehearsal process is going to work. It's got all the performances listed on there, everything like that. So what happened at that first week of May? Y'all, that first week of May is a mistake. I'll fix that and email it back out to everybody. We'll fix it on the website too. There will be rehearsal that week as well. So sorry that happened. But this is the conflict calendar, and you'll fill that out and bring it. All right, cool. I'm gonna pause there. There will be a bigger Q&A at the end, but does anybody like have a thing right now that is super critical? And you're gonna have to speak up because I can't see everybody.
Hi, Patrick. This is Ashley Urbano.
Okay.
Just quick Hi, just a quick question about the headshots. Do you want us to bring out a printed headshot, or would you prefer we submit that electronically? How would you like us to do that? And instead of actually writing out some of our prior roles in the past, would you prefer that we bring out a printed resume as well?
Yeah, I think if you have those two tools, it'd be great to have the physical copy of them. It's not a
Great.
requirement though. For those of you who don't have them, know that it is absolutely okay, is not required. But if you have them, we would love to have a copy of them for sure. We
Great.
keep those, just so that we get to know people as well. The other thing, let me, let me go to COVID safety real quick, and then Ashley, I want to kind of come back to what you're asking. Okay, so COVID safety, of course, we are in a global pandemic. We are hoping beyond hope that by the time we get to this rehearsal process in April and the show in June, that we are in a better place. But that may not be true. What you should know is that RLT has been operating and producing shows through the pandemic. We've done virtual shows, Zoom shows, shows in our outdoor space, and all of that. So we have been very responsible. We are keeping everybody as safe as we can keep everybody. And of course, it is your decision whether to participate or not. So the one thing that we can do to make sure that people are safe is we're going to have a vaccination requirement for the cast. So you'll need to bring proof of that to the audition. Okay, so you can bring the card, or you can bring a picture on your phone. You can also bring a test if you're someone who medically cannot get vaccinated for a reason. You can also bring a negative test that's taken within 48 hours before the audition. And then if we do want to give you cast, we'll talk about what the process would be, moving forward. All right, so we'll take any of it, but we do have that requirement because you're going to be dancing together. There will be some sharing of dressing room space and things like that. So we want to make sure that everybody has that. We are a city building. RLT operates as a part of the city. I mean, that's part of the reason we have to remain a community theater in our lease agreement with the city, because we are a city building and a city organization. So in all city buildings, there's a mask requirement currently. We also want to keep you safe, so we'll require that you have them on at all times. At the audition specifically, you will be able to remove your mask once you start performing. All right, but then at that point, you'll be very distanced from everybody else and you'll be kind of by yourself. Now, if you don't consent to that and you choose to keep your mask on, that's perfectly reasonable as well. All right, but you'll have the mask on for every other moment. There's one other moment that might be not true. Let me get there. So what to expect when you arrive. This was me coming back, Ashley, to what you're talking about for other people. If you have a headshot resume, perfect. Attach it to your audition form. There's an audition team that'll help you to be there. But the audition team, when you get to the theater, will greet you and they will take your forms. They'll make sure you filled them out correctly. They'll help you through that process. If you have not filled out the forms beforehand, there will be forms available. They will help you fill those out. You can do that in the lobby when you show up. They'll check your vaccination proof. So here's the thing, they have a checklist about this person has shown that they are fully vaccinated. This person says they're fully vaccinated, but does not have proof. There's another checkbox there. If that box is checked, that means you cannot remove your mask for the audition, okay? So just try to remember to bring a photo on your phone or the card, or the test or whatever proof that you have. Make sure to do that. The one thing that I did not put on here, but this is for everybody, if you're like, oh, I don't have a headshot, we do take everyone's picture in the lobby, just so that as we're talking about casting and we're trying to remember like who this great person was, we can go back to match your number to your photo. And then we're like, oh yes, that's who this person was. And so that's just a benefit. And then they'll put you in your group order and they'll walk you into the theater. We will socially distance inside the theater. We will see folks in like groups of 10 or maybe smaller, 8 to 10, and we'll spread out. The reason for that is just so that it's flowing well. Once you are done auditioning for the evening, you are free to go. We're not going to hold you there for any reason. Okay. So all of that happens. You're going to have a lot of people around helping you out and making sure that your experience is good. That's our goal. So you'll get the form in the conflict calendar, and they will help you with all that. Yeah, so it's pretty fun, pretty easy. I wanted to talk for a second about why we're only asking you to sing for the general auditions. Because the show does require like great acting and of course like choreography. Choreography is a thing in this show, and that's going to be the fun. I think it's all going to be fun, but I love the choreography of this show. But we're only asking you to sing for two reasons. One is like this show, as most musicals, is really carried by the music. It's really carried by the way that you are able to sing and give life to these characters. And so we really need to hear voices, and we also need to start to hear how voices are potentially going to work together, right? So all of that's going to be important, and that's just a lot of data for us. As you sing, we can learn a lot. Also, I think that many people forget that just because you're singing doesn't mean you're not acting, right? So we are asking you to sing and act, right? So it's not just singing, actually. So you act the song, like what's going on in the song? What is your character fighting for? What do they want? Why are they choosing to sing? You know what I mean? Like, what is it? So think, as you pick those selections, as you practice those selections, think through like, what is the purpose? Why are they singing this? What does this character need in this moment? Because we'll be able to tell a lot by that kind of preparation as well. All right. So that's why just singing for generals. Once we get to callbacks, in the callbacks, there will be choreo. Okay. That's when we'll start to look at movers. All right. So that's why just singing first. Okay. Yep, I just said all that. All right. Now I'm going to turn it over to our music director who's on the call, Michael Santangelo. Michael and I have worked together on many shows, and Michael has been the music director for In the Heights before in other places. And so we're in really good hands with Michael, and he's going to talk you through how to have a really successful audition here. So Michael, I will turn it over to you.
All right. Well, thank you.
Stop
Can you guys all hear me okay? Everybody hear me? Great. I sent a link in the chat. Rather than present, I figured you could just open it on your own and download it if you want. It's just some helpful information that I have accumulated over the years from different sources. So the first thing I'm going to look at real quick, just the first page here that says musical theater styles. That is for like, for you just to have for general information for other times you audition. Yeah. In the Heights, while, pretty clearly like a contemporary pop musical theater piece, specific on a very, a very different type of pop music than is normally in musical theater, is a very unique piece in and of itself. There are not a ton of other shows that have music that are exactly like that. And so don't hurt yourselves when you're picking your audition songs. There is a process. There are some tips I have normally, and I'll give you those in just a second. So that part is just for you. The next section of this packet talks about musicianship stuff. And that is to say, like, how do I like mark my sheet music, that kind of stuff. And so I pulled info from an article on Backstage. That's 3 things to mark and 1 to remove from your sheet music, right? And the bold points are basically, you always want to mark the starting and ending of your sheet music, where you're going to start, where you're going to end, including whatever intro you want. And I'll talk more on that in a minute. You want to bring to attention to the pianist, which for the auditions will be me, things like key changes, meter changes, tempo changes, right? Anytime something new is going to happen in the song, it's not a bad idea to just very lightly highlight that in some way. In most cases, when an audition pianist is looking at your sheet music, that might be the first time that we're looking at your sheet music, and even though I maybe played that song before, we've never done that song before. And so as clear as you can make it in your sheet music as possible, the better. Song title and composer, and this is a big one. A lot of times we don't start on the first page of an audition, right? Like we have a 6-page song and we're doing like pages 3, 4, and 5. But page 3 doesn't have the name of the song or who wrote it on it. But if that's where you're starting, please put that there, right? So that way I can see what song it is. You know, we're starting partway through the song. Time is of the essence in an audition, right? And so I'm going to turn straight to your audition cut and I'm going to look and say, okay, well, what song is this? Because that title page is not there. So if you're not starting on the beginning of a song, please make sure that the name of the song and who wrote it are represented at the top of the first page we're starting on. That's an important one as well. All right, and then what to get rid of. Basically, what this little passage says is you get rid of anything you're not singing. And there are a couple of different ways to do that. You can do that by crossing things out. You can do that by, they make like whiteout tape that you can put over the sections. That is a tape that pulls off pretty easy. So if you want to use this song for multiple reasons, you put that there. Or you can cover it with other sheets of paper and tape it on. You just basically imagine that you're the pianist and that everything is super clear and easy to read. If you're someone who takes voice lessons and you write a lot in your voice lesson copy of a song, don't use that version with the at the audition. So if you've written, your voice teacher's given you like a ton of little tips and things and you've written them in the music, that just confuses the heck out of stuff when you're playing, makes it hard for your eyes to track. Have a clean copy of the song for the audition that you have marked specifically for this audition. And again, like I said, just put yourself in my shoes. Can you follow along with it? If you can follow along with it, probably I can. But if you can't and you're finding it confusing, then it'll probably be confusing for me as well. The other thing I'll say to you about sheet music preparation is this. There's many different schools of thought on page protectors and no page protectors. And just know that I'm someone who does not love page protectors. I find it hard to turn the pages. And I find that regardless of what page protector you're using, that sometimes the glare is still insurmountable, and I'm reading something for the first time. So with a glare on it, that can make it challenging. I prefer if you print the song out as single sheets, right? And if you're going to put it in a binder, if you are only 2 pages, then you do it as a book, right? And it just opens up right as a book. You can see both pages, they're laid out that way. If it's 3 pages, do it 2 pages like that, like a book, and then make a little fold out, right? The fewer pages I have to turn as the pianist, the less chance that something wonky is going to happen. And I mean, I can turn pages. We can mostly turn pages. It just minimizes the chances that something might, get caught or stuck. And then, I don't know what measures on the next page. So I'm reading at the same time it's happening. So you can get away with this up to 4 pages, basically, right? If you put your 2 center pages in and a fold out on the right and a fold out on the left, that's a really easy way for me to see that. And if we're doing an audition cut that is that approximate, 16 to 32 bars, that's probably about what that'll be. Something up to 4 pages, Now, to speak very briefly on the 16 to 32 bars thing, what I recommend, that the reason there's a range, the reason people usually make there be a range is that songs are different tempos, right? Songs have different numbers of beats in each measure. So if a song is really fast and in 2, 16 measures could be really short. So you have to use your best guess what's appropriate lengthwise. And I say anything up to a minute when you're singing it is okay. So if a minute winds up being 48 measures, don't kill yourself, right? We don't want you up there for a whole song, but we do want you to limit it to about a minute or less. which normally winds up being something up to 32 bars. So those are all just rough guidelines for yourself. Use your best judgment. Don't stop in the middle of a phrase just because it's 32 measures. You know what I mean? Right? Like if the big note is coming and it's 3 measures away, just sing to the big note. I'll probably, you know what I mean? I'm the one who's in control of when it's stopping. And if we talk about it in advance, I'll probably be fine with that. Which leads me to, let's look at this properly marked sheet music that's here, right? So if you look at that, you can see the start and the end are very clearly marked, right? I can super easily see where it starts and where it ends. They've taken the time to just show me very lightly that there's going to be a key change. They've taken the time to very lightly show me that at the end of the cut, there's a retardando, which means to slow down, right? And the music, and then they've crossed out these measures at the bottom of the page that I'm not going to like worry about at all. And that lets me know my eyes don't even track there then, right? Again, don't overmark it, right? Someone said to me yesterday, well, you don't want them to annotate it. You just want them to, notate it, right? Like just, so don't write every single time. Like, most of the stuff will happen naturally because the music says it's there. Just bring something to my attention if it's a tricky thing, right? If we're changing keys or the tempo changes or the time signature changes or the feel or something. And then I included in this also a little bit of a musicianship term cheat sheet. So if you're not someone who's like super music savvy, there's a lot of things written in here and then definitions of what those things are. Please don't take that as me, pandering in any way. Everybody who does theater comes from different levels of musicianship. Sometimes we have amazing voices and we're stellar actors, but we just never got that training on how to really read music. And I just thought that it would be good for you, if you're someone who's in that category, to just have a little cheat sheet about what some of those words that are in your sheet music might mean. All right, so picking a song. My rule of thumb is usually this. If you can, first of all, know the show that you are auditioning for, know who the characters are, and know their journey, right? Know who they really are at their core. If you find a song that is from, so we usually prefer at auditions for you to not sing a song from the show. And I hope that everybody always understands that the reason for that is because we don't want you to pigeonhole yourself in the first 10 seconds of you auditioning for the show, making it seem to us as if the only role that you're good for is that character and you sang that song. You know what I mean? That's usually, you want to make yourself seem generalized and specific at the same time. It's a challenging thing to do. But what I usually say is when you are picking a song, if the character in the show that you're auditioning for, right, that you identify with most could sing that song. If you envision, right, let's say you're someone who thinks to themselves, all right, Benny is the character I identify with most in The Heights. And I found this song and it seems to me like Benny would sing this song. His character might sing that. Then that's a good audition song, right? Because it's going to let us think about that. That maybe is more subtle than you just singing Benny at the Dispatch, right? And it allows us to see you as that, but then to also see you as other things as well. It also lets us know that you know the show, that you put in the work, that you did the homework, right? And that is something that really makes an audition process so much easier for people who are auditioning. If you know what you're getting into, what you're doing, what you're, just what the thing is. A lot of times we'll go to these auditions and we'll do them and people don't really know the show they're auditioning for. And that shows in what they bring to the audition songs. Now, did that song let me know that they could sing? Sure, it sure did. But it doesn't let me know that they know what we're doing and what goes on in the show we're auditioning for. So always do that homework, right? It brings us closer to getting what we need from you at auditions. Another good trick is if you look up on Internet Broadway Database, the show we're doing, so look that up on, look In the Heights up on Internet Broadway Database. Pull up the character you're thinking, the characters you think, oh, these are ones that like would be good for me. And then look at what those people who played it in the original Broadway cast have done, other shows they've done. Look for other musicals they've been in. That gives you, and then that gives you like a starting roadmap, right? Oh, well, if this person played Benny in this show, maybe in this other show, they played something that is also similar, because that person's probably got a type, you know? So, you know, those are sort of my guidelines for that. Don't just blindly go to your voice teacher or your chorus teacher at school and say, hey, I'm auditioning for In the Heights. What is a good song for me to do, right? Because that removes you from the picking of the song. That removes that personal knowledge that you'll gain from really getting to know the show and really owning the song you're about to do. Go to them instead with saying, I'm auditioning for In the Heights. I think that these 3 songs are pretty good for that. What do you think of that? You know what I mean? And start a discourse about it instead of just saying, hey, give me the answer here. So sheet music in and of itself, those are tricky things to find also sometimes online. So there's a couple of websites you can use for that. Scribed is a good one. Often you can just Google the name of the song and the word and the letters PDF as well. And then musicnotes.com, right? Musicnotes.com, usually it's about $5 or $6 for those. If you are transposing something on musicnotes.com, be wary of that. Look at the transposed thing. If it looks like you've put it in a key that makes everything be busy looking on the page, then that's going to be hard to read as well. All right. I'm going to move into a different section about just like how we work together at the audition. Does anyone have any questions up till this point?
Hi, Michael. I do have a question.
Hey, Garner, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, good.
Good. So since In the Heights is a really specific genre and I'm auditioning for ensemble, I have a song in mind that's upbeat and allows me to show emotion. Do you have any other tips for how to select a song for people looking to be in the ensemble?
So if you are looking to be in the ensemble, what I would ask of you is really just, you know, listen to the style that the show is, right? It's a contemporary show. So don't come and sing something from Oklahoma. You know, Oklahoma's got some great music in it, but that is not not the songs for this. You know, just if it's something that makes you feel like you're listening to contemporary musical theater, which is what this is, then that's probably fine for me for auditions. If your thought is, hey, I want to be in the ensemble of this, the things I need to see are that you can sing in that style, in that, you know, contemporary pop vocal style. And so for that particular thing, you don't have to delve in quite as much with making sure that we can visualize a character in the show who, you know, who says lines would do. Does that make sense? Great. So just keep it contemporary if that's okay.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Yes, hi. I'm Brittany. So what if you're a strong dancer and actor, but not the strong vocalist?
So we obviously you still have to sing at the audition, right? We'll probably know that from your audition form, I'd imagine, that is your scenario. But we do still need to see that you can sing. So just pick something that auditions, and this goes for everybody. Auditions are never the place to try out the new high note that you like just got with your voice teacher, right? Auditions are the place to do the really solid high note that you know you're going to hit no matter what, right? And I would say that this sort of rule of thumb applies for this scenario. Pick a song that you know fits your voice and that you can sing easily and comfortably. Doesn't have to be really big rangy wise, no high note, you know what I mean? We need to see that you can sing, And we need to see that there's an awareness of the type of voice you have. Am I someone who sings high like a soprano or lower like an alto? That kind of thing. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
That's
Appreciate
great,
it.
Brittany. Can I jump in real quick, Michael?
Mhm.
On the role preferences part of your audition form, if you're a person who you're like, I can carry a tune, I can mix and blend well, but I really love dancing, just write, you can write ensemble there and write dancer next to it. And then that lets us know that you are really interested in the dancing aspect of the show. Is we're going to need you folks as well. So just make sure and make that clear on the form.
Thank you.
I think there were a
All right.
couple of other questions, Michael. Scott?
Yeah, hi, thanks a lot. I'll also be going for the ensemble. Anything to dress like for the audition, just come comfortable or sort of dress the part of the actors, or what do you recommend?
So for this show, and I mean, Patrick can probably speak on this as well. For most shows, when you go to the audition, you want to look, clean cut, professional, and like you are pliable, like you can become anything. And so for just wearing, I don't know, like dressy casual, business casual.
So
is what-
turn the cap around this way, is that
That's
right?
right.
Yeah, but I mean, for this show specifically, we're in Washington Heights on the street a lot of times where people are wearing all sorts of whatever, right? So for me, for this show, I don't know that matters as much. For me, Patrick, do you want to talk on that for just a second?
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. Just your contemporary, what you're comfortable in. I mean, the other thing is like, I promise we're not trying to be sneaky, but we want to hear you sing. But in the singing, there's acting. In the presentation of the singing, there's also like there's an opportunity to show that you're a mover. Do you know what I mean? So just thinking through all of that and I don't mean like you're moving all around the stage, but I mean like, is your body have energy in it? Is it engaged? Is it
Right.
part of the story? And so whatever you feel comfortable in, based on your song choice, is absolutely okay here.
Okay.
Totally fine. We're going to go in order of thank you for raising hands, folks. That puts you in a queue for me. That's great. So Ashley.
Thanks. So contemporary musical theater style sheet music, what if we wanted to go in a different direction? If we wanted to sing something that isn't musical theater based, but maybe is in Spanish, or we wanted to sing something that is more pop focused. What are the thoughts behind that?
So I'm fine as long as use the thing I said about would a character from this show sing this? Can I envision a character from the world of In the Heights singing this song? And I know that's kind of cheesy way to put it, but when we're looking at this, we are looking at people as, through the lens of Lin-Manuel Miranda's, In the Heights. And so as long as it's something you can picture someone in that show singing, I'm good with that, right? So if you have a pop song that you think like works really well for that, that's great. If you have something that's in Spanish that works really well for that, that's great. Just make sure that the sheet music is something that's clear and that I can read and see easily. So
follow-up question to that, and I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I like give myself the best opportunity here.
Ask away.
If I were to pick a song that was in Spanish, knowing that we would pick that song, understanding that the character that we're auditioning for would sing that themselves, is there someone in the audition room that understands the language and would be able to decipher the words that we're singing?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question, Ashley. I understand a little bit, but my assistant director, who's here somewhere, I don't know, I don't think that her camera wasn't on, but Carol, do you want to say hi to everybody? Carol Machuca is my amazing assistant director.
Hi, I'm here. I'm
there
Carol
you are.
Michigan.
Hi, Carol.
Yes,
Carol's
and I
gonna be
do
with
speak
us.
Spanish.
Yeah, she's going to be with us every step of the way. She's fluent. And so also if English is not your first language and you're in this process, you'll have Carol to help with direction and all that stuff. So that's a great question, Ashley. Thank you for asking it.
Of course, thanks.
All right. And then who's next?
Koa.
I do have a quick question.
Hey, 1 second, Jillian.
Okay.
Can you wait 1 second? I'll put you in the queue. There's a couple of questions before you.
Okay.
And then we'll get to you. Thank you. Koa, you're next.
Hi, yes, thank you. Any tips for anybody that is considering a role that on the sheet says that it requires a facility with rap? Any tips for that?
Well, I'm definitely not a rap expert in any way. What I would say is definitely, I mean, there is a feel to the rap that happens in the Heights. And to get that feel, like, I mean, I feel like a good way to do that would be to try doing that along with the recording a little bit to get the feel of the, the rhythm of the words and the way that things are accented. And then whatever you're using for the audition, apply what you've learned to that.
Got it. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Koa. Is it Bree or Bry? I'm sorry.
Bry. What's
Okay,
up,
Bry.
y'all?
Sorry about that.
I was also wondering about the rap or hip hop. So in the audition, would you be playing like the musical underneath, or do we need to bring like the instrumental version?
So this is what I'll say about that. Normally, I am very hesitant to allow people to use tracks during an audition, except in the instance you're talking about.
Mm.
So I will not take it personally at all. If you're doing something that involves rap, and you want there to be some sort of beat underneath what you're doing. So if you as long as you bring, you have to be completely self-contained, you know what I mean? Bring the thing that it would play back on also, so that way we're like good to go and you are ready. You just go up there, do your thing. I'm okay with that. And normally I find it a disservice for me as the music director to not be able to play with the person. It usually tells me a lot about someone as a singer when I accompany them. But if the thing you're auditioning with is something that's rap based, I will not be able to give you what you need.
Okay.
Piano, depending on the song. If it's a piano driven rap song, that might be different. But if it is something that you really rely on that beat for, for this show, I have no problem with you using a track for that.
And I do have one follow-up question. Will we be doing a song like singing and the hip hop rap, or just one or the other?
Would not be because I will need to know. So that character sings, even though most of it is rap driven, there is enough singing where I'd probably also be able to like to hear you match pitch and such. So if you're auditioning for that character, it might not be a bad idea to have something in your book also that shows that you can sing as well. So, I mean, if you can find something that has both things in it, then woohoo. But if you're not able to do that, if you're not able to find something that has both in it, and you want to show us something that demonstrates an ability for rap, and then show us something that shows, we'll ask you, do you have anything in your book? So have the thing in your book then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'll show that you can sing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we have Becky, then Jillian, then Tina, and then we will keep moving forward, and then we'll go back to a Q&A. So Becky, Jillian, Tina.
Hey, I'm Becky. My question is, I saw on the website where you said you could use music from the show. Is that totally frowned upon? How do you really feel about that?
It is not totally not frowned upon at all. It just, you're welcome to do that. I mean, I'll certainly know those songs real well. And that's totally fine. Just know that we usually, the reason, for other auditions that people will say to do something not from the show is so you don't pigeonhole yourself. So just make sure that when you're picking the thing you're picking, that we also know that you are willing to accept other things if that's the case. Do you know what I mean? So notate that real well on your audition sheet.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the other reason that oftentimes, folks will say don't do something from the show is just because I know you actors, you're so brave and courageous, and I do mean that. But then you get real like, when somebody does the song you're gonna do right before you do it. So you know what I mean? Like if people are picking from the show, then like you're gonna hear a lot of other people, and then like does that put you in a mental space that's difficult? And you want to avoid that, So, but in this show, I think it particularly to Bry's question, some of that that facility and those characters that are rapping, you may want to do a selection from the show, and that's okay. But what Michael's saying is right. We're not going to frown upon it at this time. It really is about you helping you.
Right, right. And in the instance of, like, if everybody only picked songs from In the Heights, not only are we going to hear those songs a lot, but we're also going to start immediately comparing you to the other people who sang that song in that moment. You know what I mean? So, and to the people who sang it on Broadway right away. With that, we don't, that I like to avoid that if it's possible, until we get to a callback process. Because I like to be able to, put people into multiple slots at the beginning if it's possible. So, all right. So who was next?
Jillian, and then Tina.
Hi, I'm Jillian. My first question is, would the audition have the audio player that connects to a cell phone? If it does, can it go through music notes? Because my song choice is through music notes. And even though I can play the music, I just wondering if it has the audio connect to it.
Well, so if you have the sheet music for the song and you were planning on just using the music notes accompaniment, I'm going to play for you, right? Like if you have the sheet music, then you're going to give me that sheet music and I'm going to accompany you on the piano.
Okay.
Right? The only time during these auditions that I'm okay with you using tracks is if you're doing something that is more hip hop driven. But if you're planning, if in your head you were going to use the music notes accompaniment that you can do, that's just a piano sound playing the piano part, and in that instance I'm going to play for you then.
Okay. But what if I feel comfortable of using the music notes of the accompaniment?
I'm sorry, you cut out a bunch right there. Can you repeat that?
Sorry. What if I wanted to do the music notes on the audio instead?
We're going to ask for you to work with Michael.
Yeah.
Like to have.
Okay, that'd be good.
Yeah. So instead of in that moment, just because then we get to see, like, and we'll talk about this in a second, but even if there's a mistake, it's not going to be like a mistake and then you're done. We're going to work with you, and Michael's really great. So you'll have that, and it just allows us to see how you interact with live music, which is going to be an important part.
Okay, yeah, it's just even though I'm new at this and even though I just moved here and stuff like that. And my other question is, will the audition form be on the front desk by the time I audition?
Yeah, it's on the website. You can download it from there now, and it will also be available to you at the audition if you don't want to. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks,
Thank you.
Jillian.
You're welcome.
All right, Tina.
Hey y'all, I'm Tina. My question is, in addition to the song that we're singing, will we be working with like vocal range with you, Michael? Will we be working some scales or anything, or is it just the song?
That'll only be if I feel like I need to hear that. In most cases, when people sing an audition song, that does give me a very good idea of like what their voice type is, and what their range would be. And if I feel like I need to hear anything, I'll ask you to do that. So.
Okay, thank you.
All right, y'all. So those are all good. Thank you all so much for asking questions. It's amazing. We will have another chunk of time towards the end to ask more, but I want to keep us moving for now. Michael, go ahead.
All right. So just the last little bit that I wanted to talk about is like what happens at the audition, right? So once you're in the room, you come up and you chat with me for a minute, right? And you'll give me your sheet music. I'll open your sheet music up. We'll look at it together real quick, right? I'll ask any questions I need. The primary thing that you need to do when you get up there is let me know the tempo of your song, right? There can be lots of different tempos for lots of different songs. I maybe did the show that your song is from previous, and maybe we did it at a different speed than you feel like it is for you. This your audition, we should do it at the speed you feel you want to do it. So usually if you don't bring it up, I'll always ask. But if you can just come over, we'll chat for 2 minutes. You'll tell me what the tempo is. The best way to do that is by just singing a first couple of measures, you know what I mean? And then if there's a tempo change somewhere in there, point that out to me and show me what that is as well. A lot of times audition cuts are only one tempo, but sometimes there'll be a shift in the feel or whatever. And then I'll usually want you to know what the introduction sounds like. So the shorter the introduction, the better, right? We don't want to, if your song has a 16 bar introduction, that's not going to, right? Even if you mark that that's where we're going to start, I'm going to come up, you're going to come up and I'm going to say, okay, so we're probably only going to do these 2 measures right here to get you in, because it's a long time to stand up there. And what I need to see you, and yes, I'm sure a ton of beautiful acting moments can happen in a 16 bar introduction to a song, but we want to see those while you're singing. And then we'll leave that for when the show is happening. So that's basically it. And then you'll go over, usually I recommend that people ground themselves where they're going to be singing. So I think we'll be on stage is what normally happens. And you'll go over to where you're going to stand, ground yourself, take a couple deep breaths, give me a little nod, let me know that you're good, and then we'll do it. My goal when we do auditions is for us to have 2 hours of really amazing performances, right? So if something goes awry during your audition, right? If like we wound up with a tempo that was not, the thing, or like I messed something up real big, I'm going to give you another shot, because your audition should never, ever, ever hinge on the fact that I screwed something up, right? Now, I'm going to sound unmodest for a second, and I'm real sorry. I am probably one of the better audition pianists in the area. And the chances are, especially for a show like this, where it's going to be a lot of contemporary theater songs that are happening, I'm probably okay, right? We'll probably be fine. However, don't sweat it. We're not looking at me playing the piano. We're looking at you auditioning, right? So if I feel we need to do something again, we will. If you know what I mean, but chances are we probably got what we needed from you, because you probably did a great job. Don't sweat it. If for some reason I ask you to do something again, please don't take it in any wrong way ever also, right? Me asking you to do something again, or anyone asking you to do something again in an audition, is never a bad thing, right? If they didn't want to hear you again, and they didn't think you know what I mean? Then just don't take it in a wrong way. It means I heard something and I was like, ooh, I want to see if I can hear that again. Right? Or I think there's some potential in the scenario and I want to see if we can push that, right? That's never a bad thing when someone asks you to sing something again, or if you have something else in your binder, because if they didn't think it was worth it, then they wouldn't ask. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? All right. And then, and then we'll have some fun. I like to look at it as 2 hours of getting some really awesome performances. And I love playing auditions, right? It is one of my favorite things to do. I enjoy playing piano generally, but accompanying singers is the thing I'm meant to do when it comes to piano, right? So for 2 hours, getting to play with people, that's fun. I enjoy that, right? You should know in advance, I have a really, 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 really bad case of resting face, right? Don't take that personally. That's just what it is. I try, I laugh when I'm supposed to laugh and I smile when I'm supposed to smile, but in all the other moments, I have a very serious looking face. I'm sorry. So just know in advance that's just how my face is. It's not you, it's me. But
that's actually,
all right.
Yeah, that's a good confession for me too. But for me, it's when I'm being thoughtful, directing a play. I'm often pretty stony faced as well, and don't mean to be at all. No, that's great. Thank you, Michael. And again, we'll have more time for questions from Michael in a little bit. The other thing to know is if you mess up, like as the auditionee, don't beat yourself up. Take a breath. We'll try again. The other thing you need to know is if you get halfway in, you mess up, we give you another shot, you go up, your brain freezes again at that halfway mark, and we say, we're actually good, we've seen, that doesn't mean anything either, right? I've had people call back, make it to callbacks and be in cast that have felt like their original audition was they would have called it like trash, and I'm like, well, it wasn't actually. We heard what we needed to hear. So you don't. I think just take a breath all the time.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
know that we are not there to like, we're. It's just I think the spirit of RLT is one of community and grace, and so give yourself some grace.
it's Raleigh Little Theater is a community theater, which means that everyone is there to learn, right? I'm also there to learn from you, right? That's what we do, right? That's what people should do. We learn from each other. And so why not learn, use the audition as a learning experience as well. It doesn't only have to be the job interview, you can get the job and also have learned something along the way. So,
Yeah.
you know.
So after you audition, again, you'll be free to go immediately after your audition. We're not going to keep anybody around that the evening that you audition. Remember, you only have to attend one of the nights of general auditions. So after the auditions, after both nights, the creative team will get together to talk about, who out of this like mix of people do we want to move forward into a callback situation. If those, for those of you who've never done this before, callbacks are just, they're a second step in the audition process where we bring people back together, and then we specifically look at pieces from the show. So we look at hearing people sing songs from the show. We might do some acting scenes from the show, and that's when we will introduce choreography. All right. So that's what happens there. And it's just our chance to do more assessment of the thing. Here's the thing, like, I am not crazy person. I know that if you don't get called back, it's sad and it's hurtful, and you'll be sad. But know this, and I mean it. I'm being absolutely sincere. It's very rarely, very, very rarely a comment on your talent, and you just can't take it that way. You just can't take it that way. It's just about us going like, out of this group of humans, we believe a cast, or many times it's like 2 or 3 casts exist in this group of humans for this show at this time. And if we auditioned a week later, you may have been on the callback list. It's so subjective. That's one of the things I hate about this art form. I love it so much, but that's a thing that I don't like. So I think you got to do a lot self-care, you know what I mean? So that's for callbacks. And then there's a whole nother self-care process for cast lists and all that. We are looking for this cast to be between 18 and 22, maybe 23. So there's many more of you than that on this call right now. And then there's also people who are coming that are not on this call. So you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of people for not a ton of roles. So know that this process is a learning experience for you and for us. And we'll do the best we can, and let's make it the best we can. The thing you got to know is there are many, many other ways to be involved in this production that are not just on stage. We love to have you backstage. We'd love to have you doing lights and light boards and sound and being a part of the dressing crew or whatever. So there will be ways to be a part of the production if you're not ultimately in the cast. So just want to say that. So we'll have a Monday and Tuesday night of general callbacks. We will post the callback list on the website. We'll probably email it out to everybody as well by Thursday, because the callbacks will be the Saturday after. And that's when we'll get into choreography and all that stuff. Okay. So the callbacks is a chance just to come in, and then that's just us like going, we know that you can sing this show. We know that you can probably dance and act this show. Now it's just about like seeing you in specific roles. Okay. We'll give you all of the information for all of that stuff. Like, this is who you're called back for. This is what the schedule will be and all that when we announce the callbacks on that Thursday. And then after the callbacks, then we will announce, I believe we will try by that following Tuesday to get the cast list up. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again, just to show you another thing. All right, everybody can see this again. All right, so this is the callback and casting. What does this say? It says, oh, Wednesday, February 16th. Callbacks are on February 12th, cast list by Wednesday, February 16th. Okay. That gives us some time to really make good decisions and to reach out to people. That's the point where we're also looking at conflicts to see like, oh, we think this person could be Benny, but then they have 15 conflicts, and so that may not work out. So that's just that's the reason we need that amount of time. All right, so I'm very excited about, we have 2 choreographers on this show, James and Pewe Kobo. So this is the actual combination that you're going to get taught at Callbacks. I wanted to share it with you now. And it's going to look pretty intimidating, I think. But Peiwe's done a really great job, and we'll make these videos accessible to the folks being called back way in advance. So, because she's got several different videos, and there's 2 of them that are like breaking it down step by step. But just to get excited a little bit, I wanted to share with you what the callback routine will look like. This comes from the club scene in the show. All right, yay, Pewe. Everybody saw it? Awesome. Okay, great. Let me get us to the next thing. Stop. Okay, so let's do Q&A. That's kind of all the stuff that we wanted to cover today. So let's do Q&A, and then we'll share that later. So any question, we invite any and all questions. Just let us know. You can raise your hand is the helpful way to do that. Because then it puts you in a line. Oh, awesome. Okay, Melanie, go ahead.
Hi. For callbacks, when the callback list is posted, are you going to post as well, like what everyone is going to be singing and like the sides on the callback list as well?
We will. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's part of the reason it takes us a little while to get that list up, because we have to get all the materials ready to be posted on the website so that you'll have the song cuts, you'll have the characters you're called back for, and there'll be a specific schedule of when you're going to be doing choreo, when you're going to be doing acting, when you're going to be doing the songs and all that nature. Yeah. Claire.
Hi, my name is Claire. I have a quick question about callbacks. Will members of the ensemble be called back to dance, or will you be casting the ensemble solely on the audition itself?
No, it'll be, you will be required to dance at the callbacks. That's going to be a big part of the callbacks for you all.
Fabulous.
Yeah. And there'll be singing too. I mean, we want to make sure that we're putting together a community of people that, that looks like the Heights.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Rebecca. Oh, your mic's still off. Yep.
Sorry, I have 2 mics. Hello. She kind of asked my question about the ensemble being called back. Because you're talking about compiling the list. If you're called back for ensemble, what kind of things would you be singing?
Michael,
if you can even answer that.
You want to take that?
Oh, I mean, actually, I don't think Patrick and I have spoken about this yet, but at other callbacks, usually we'll do like a 15 minutes of, I teach like a tiny little bit of one of the ensemble sections of a song.
Okay.
And then I just make sure people can hold harmony, like listen around. So at the most, that's what you would do for that scenario. We also might not necessarily need that, right? We might be able to, know from your initial audition vocally that you're okay, to be in the ensemble of the show, and then might only need to know that you can dance in that way. So, either one of those 2 ways would be.
Okay. Also, apologize. One more question. In regards to the audition singing wise, if we have multiple cuts of like different, not necessarily genres, but moods for songs, like do you encourage that we bring multiple cuts in the event that you want to hear something else, or just kind of stick with one, or what's
I mean,
your
I think that it's always a better idea to have a few things in your audition binder when going to an audition. Because what if they ask you to do something else? And
okay.
anytime you got to say no, that limits you. So what I'll say is this: if it's in your binder that you put on the piano in front of me, make sure it's something you can sing, right?
Noted.
Because I will, in the scenario where I want to hear something, right? Don't bring your voice lesson binder that's like, a 4-inch 3-ring binder that has every song you've ever sung, but you might not know all of them really good right now, right? Don't bring that for a couple of reasons. But if your book has 3 or 4 things in it, make sure that you can sing all three or four of those things. You know what I mean? Because if I turn through it and I go, oh, I love that. Can you sing that for me right now? And then you have to go, no, that's weird. So.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Angelique.
Hello. I have 2 questions for you, Patrick. My
Okay.
first question is, for some reason, I'm having a hard time sign up for an audition slot. Like
Okay.
it's just checking, but I'm not able to go to Sign Up Genius. So is there any other method that I can sign up for a slot?
Yeah, will you shoot me an email and I can sign you?
Yes, for sure. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. My second question is, I know you said you were looking for a majority of 18 through 22-year-olds, but what if, we're pushing 26, 27? Is
Oh,
that
that's fine.
still?
I
Okay.
I need to correct that language if that's what it says. Yeah, no. The reason that we want 18 plus is that we feel like with some of the partner dancing and things like that, if you're an adult and you're dancing with a teenager, that just
Okay.
can feel very weird.
Yeah.
Not that it's going to be like dirty dancing or anything,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? It's just like that's a protection thing. But 18 and
Okay.
all the way up, we need abuela, you know what I mean? So
Okay.
it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Lauren.
Hi, my name is Lauren. I was hoping you could elaborate a little bit on conflicts. What dates are the days that we can't have any conflicts?
Oh, it's great. That's a great question. So the dates that that would disqualify you from being considered would be any conflict on tech or performances. Other than that, you're okay. Because it's complicated because we don't have an understudy methodology at RLT. That's for several reasons, especially during COVID, is space issues, it's budget issues in terms of like if we have understudies, we have to build or purchase extra additional costumes. And then also we feel like as a community theater where everybody's kind of in it as volunteering their time, if you get cast in a role, we want you to have the opportunity to fully play that role if you're able. If we cast understudies, we feel like that's a lot of time to give to never be able to play the role. So we would want the understudies to have specific dates that they played at. So it just gets really complicated at a community theater. Doesn't mean things don't happen. People get sick. Michael and I both been there. Michael was part of a show where someone had to take a new track at intermission because someone got sick. So we have to work it out, but that's the reason why.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. Talia.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question about the audition. A lot of the songs I'm thinking about right now are like have a lot of back and forth between different characters. Would you want us to find like a portion of the piece that just has one character, or do you want us to like sing all the parts?
Just the one character is the ideal. Yeah. Because going back and forth would be really tricky. I'm Michael, if you want to jump in as well, but.
No, I agree with that. Try and find something that's meant to be sung by one person, like a solo section of it. If it's a duet, but there's like a big solo section, in the duet, that's fine. But hopping back and forth between characters can sometimes be a little weird. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Talia. Araya, is that how you say it? I don't think I got that right.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Aria.
Aria.
Hi there. My question may be a little more controversial, but I, as you can tell, am a very white passing person. My family is Colombian, and this story is very important to me because my personal family kind of got the back end of gentrification and assimilated a lot, and I no longer speak to them. I would be interested in a lead role, and because of my work situation, I would have to save up to take time off in order to be able to do the show. Would I be wasting my time in auditioning? Because I totally understand like servicing the show in its visual, what you guys want it to be.
That's a great question, and I appreciate the vulnerability in asking it. Absolutely not. I mean, you know, the truth is of the ethnicities and the character makeup of this show is that it is not monolithic, right? Like I am also like you know, I've Mexican heritage, but very white passing in many scenarios, right? Depending on where I am in the country. Growing up in Texas, I was very like identified, like people were like, you are a Mexican. I moved to North Carolina and people were like, are you even, you know what I mean? Like it's frustrating. So I get where you're coming from. I feel it. Yeah, so I think that what we're saying here is like, of course, inside of these communities, there are many, many different ethnicities. There's many dialects, there's many everything, skin tones and all that stuff. I think what we want to avoid is a situation where, you know, I think just to put it bluntly, like avoiding brown face, black face, anything like that, right? So, you know, the fact that you are, you know, a descendant, and as a part of that family, it's totally fine. And there will be opportunities to mark those kinds of things. It's not on the audition form, but there's additional stuff that you'll have at the audition to be able to say what you're talking about. So not a waste of time at all. Thank you for asking that question. Victoria, you're next.
Hi, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate your time. I have a couple questions. First question is my song choice. My mind keeps like going to like theater types of this, and I feel like Lin-Manuel is like the only option to sing if you want to show that you can be in a show that can accommodate Lin-Manuel, if that makes any sense. And I'm feeling intimidated by that, so I'm just trying to like, you know, I've been listening to everyone's questions, which have been very helpful in knowing that it should be like a one person, one character. But do you recommend for someone who, like, I have a background in, like, right now I'm a stand-up comedian and stage time and presence and production and all, I'm interested in all the things. So it's like, I don't want to check the box, like we'll take anything. But I'm also like feeling very overwhelmed at the opportunity. So I'm like, I want to learn everything, you know, I don't want to come into my audition giving that energy, because I feel like I need to focus, and I have my sights on some characters that I've been researching from the musical. But do you feel like a Lin-Manuel song choice is the best song choice? Or is that intimidating for someone who's just branching into the musical side of the stage?
I'm gonna let Michael answer that, but
I know, I'm like, I don't know what to do.
I'm shaking my head
So
because I'm like,
when you say Lin-Manuel Miranda's song choice, do you mean like you want to sing something from Hamilton? Is that
I mean, I honestly am scared to sing anything in front of people, so just to put that out there.
Gotcha.
But if I'm gonna pick something, then I was thinking Hamilton, just in terms of the acting style that I feel like he portrays. It's like it's a humorous. I really like the vibe that like all of his musicals.
I usually
bring.
tell people to try and avoid shows that are currently on Broadway,
right?
At auditions. I mean, but what do I know? I mean, if you here's the long and the short of it is this: there's like a million different things we can give you as advice leading up to an audition, right? About don't sing something cliche, or don't sing this thing, or don't sing that thing, or whatever. If you sing the song well and you feel like it's appropriate, then do that.
Okay.
Do you know what I
Okay,
mean?
cool. Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
I'd rather you show us the very best of what it is you think you can give, than get like super bogged down in oh my God, is this the exact right thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, so you do the thing that's going to make you the most comfortable in this scenario, is what I
Okay.
would say. Okay.
Okay, that's helpful. That like calms me down. I just kept thinking of all the options. And then the other thing too that I was thinking, if we're interested in learning or assisting production wise, marketing, promotions, I kind of saw a quick slide from that. And it piqued my interest. Like, is that something that we should tell up front, like in terms of the value that we feel like we can bring to this? Or
Yeah, absolutely. So you can always email me directly, and I'm going to pull that slide back up in a minute.
Okay.
Our business coordinator is going to come on and give you more information on how to participate in other ways as well.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That's very helpful. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Victoria, you just do you.
Thank you.
We're excited to see you. Okay.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Appreciate you guys.
So the question lineup is Natalie, Desire, and then Austin. So Natalie.
Hi. First up, I want to thank Arya for asking that question because I had a similar question. She got to it first, but very similar situation with that. My question, y'all might not have an answer to yet, because I know the situation is constantly changing, but COVID wise, I know that you mentioned you don't have understudies, that you just cast because you feel like that would be a disservice to the people who have the roles and like splitting up the time. And also the CDC guidelines currently are honestly a disaster. So my question is just like, if someone in the cast does get COVID, especially when we're getting into closer to the show time, have you thought about what that's gonna look like? Or are you kind of just like hoping it doesn't happen? Because that is fine too. As a teacher, we are all hoping it doesn't happen. So
No, I know. God bless us all, right? No, so just so you know, like the safety and health of our community is the number one priority. So we've shut shows down. So we had an actor contract COVID in one of our family series shows last year, and we delayed opening. We just stopped. And so we will take the mandatory quarantine and isolation as soon as we find out if anything happens. You know, I do think we all, of course, have our fingers crossed that we also have this really close contact at Health and Human Services, and we talk with them every week, and they are very hopeful that by mid-February, we're going to have been past the worst of it with Omicron, and that by April, when this rehearsal process starts, that we should be pretty good. Now, we don't know. There could be a new variant, there could be new whatever. Know that we are prepared to make any sort of adjustment we need to make, including canceling a show if we have to. Now, none of us want that. None of us want that to happen, but we've done it. We're supposed to be in tech today for Pride and Prejudice, and we had to cancel that show because we were trying to put safety first. The other benefit of when we're performing this, although it may not feel like a benefit if you're dancing in it, is that we can move this show outdoors. So we do have our amphitheater space, and I think in the Heights would work fine out there, just be hot. But we could do it, and so we have thought through, I think, over the last 2 years, so many scenarios, and we're constantly surprised by COVID, but know that we are going to make the decision that we feel is the most responsible and the best for you. We are also a theater community that really believes in consent, and that consent can change. And so if you get into the process and you get really scared, you get whatever, you don't think we're doing it, you'll have the ability to tell us that you're not comfortable. And B, if you decide that your consent for being in the show has changed, then you will be able to leave graciously. We won't hold that against anyone.
great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I do want to respect that it's almost 2:30. I want to stay on and answer questions as much as I can. But if you need to pop off, don't feel like that's a bad thing. We are going to try to wrap up as quick as we can, but I just want to respect your time. But please stay on if you want to hear these questions. So Desire, you're next, then Austin, then Gabrielle.
Hi, I'm Desiree. So I just no, you're good. Don't worry.
Oh, I know you, Desiree. I didn't see your face before. Okay.
For those of us that are unfamiliar with the RLT layout and everything, where do we go for a said audition? Like what theater? Like I only know the Gaddy. That's about all I've been to.
Yeah. So the auditions will be in the Gaddy. So those. Okay, yeah. So that is at the corner. If you look at a map, folks, the corner, or it's at the intersection of Pogue and Everett. So there's a big, huge parking lot that goes into the Sutton Theater. and we're on the other side of the building. So it's the smaller theater, which is one of the reasons we're having you register and doing it in small groups, at the intersection of Pogue and Everett.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Austin.
Hello. So I just had a quick question regarding the audition. So as someone who's considering like what they should sing, I just want to get like feedback. Would you all consider like shows such as Little Shop of Horrors or Once on This Island as contemporary?
I mean, yes, yes.
Okay.
Stylistically, again, just for me, like if you think that someone from the world of In the Heights would sing the thing that you're going to sing,
Mhm.
that's like a good rule of thumb, you know. So if you could picture someone singing it in it, then it's probably okay. So,
Okay.
for me.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Thanks, Austin. Gabriella, and then Isaiah.
I just had a quick question because you said we had to bring a proof of vaccination. Do you mean like the initial 2 like vaccinations that we like initially would have gotten, or do you mean the booster as well?
So right now, and I promise we will blast this everywhere if it changes, but right now we have not moved to booster being the full vaccination definition. So it's the first 2. But if that changes, we will blast it out everywhere and you'll know.
Okay, thank you.
Isaiah.
Hello, I'm Isaiah. I just had a quick question. So I'm recently just joined the musical theater side, but I have someone who I am experienced with a lot of the tech stuff. So my question was, you did say there was a way that, let's say we don't get the call back, that we could join the tech side and stuff like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, Isaiah. And well, let's get into that. So Carrie, our business coordinator, is going to jump on and I will share my screen again. Carrie.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, Isaiah, for the kind of perfect segue there, too. I wanted to share that, you know, obviously there's more that goes into a show, right, than the cast. And if you're interested in ways to volunteer besides that, there's a email list that you can join with the QR code that's on your screen. Obviously, you know, we love every and any way that you want to volunteer with us, including being a part of the cast and auditioning and doing backstage things and helping to make costumes and build the set and do the tech things. And so we're just really grateful for any and all of that you want to do with us. So that's going to be the link to our email list. And I'm actually going to send out a poll now asking, you know, if you're interested right now, like you want to get more information and, you know, sign up for volunteering for In the Heights in ways besides the audition, which has its own sign up. I also have in the poll question about if you want to audition for In the Heights. That's going to be different from the official sign up, but just if you know, need a sign up link to be sent to your email, that's going to be the email that you use to register for this workshop. That's going to be one way that you can do that. So if you want to go ahead and fill out the poll, I'll be following up with you about volunteer opportunities, and as well as signing up on that kind of email list, which is a more kind of general email list from the QR code that Patrick just shared. So yeah, I'm hoping to get more involved in just getting to know volunteers as my position starts to exist at RLT. And because of that, I'm really excited to see you all in this Zoom and hope to see you around however you choose that to be, by auditioning, volunteering in other ways, being a part of the cast, etc. I'm just really glad that y'all are here. Hope to see you around.
All right, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to be here today and just engaging with us in this process. We look forward. We hope to see all of you at auditions. If you are having trouble with the Sign Up Genius, like Angelique said, please shoot me an email. I'm always available. It's patrick@raleighlittletheater.org. Pretty easy to remember. Happy to be of assistance in any way I can be. You know, if you have other questions and things like that, we want to be available to you. We exist for the community. So please don't hesitate to reach out. You know, I think these questions were amazing. I really appreciate it. I will, oh, Suzanne, you caught me. Good. Excellent. Go ahead, ask your question.
Oh, I hate to interrupt you. Hey there.
You're fine.
If we had to join later, you guys going to share this recording that we could watch it again or check back?
We are absolutely going to share the recording for the community at large. So thank you all for being willing for that to happen. But yeah, absolutely. We want people to have all the information. Like the whole point for us is that people feel successful. So
Awesome.
see you in a couple weeks. Thank you for joining us and have a good Saturday. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.